One may wake up one morning and notice it. A persistent ache in the joints that wasn't there a year ago. A recovery from simple yard work that now takes 3 days instead of 1. It's a feeling of profound, deep-seated fatigue, a sense that the body's inner vitality is dimming, regardless of how much sleep one gets. This morning, stiffness, this creeping slowness, it is not just in one's head. But what if the root cause wasn't the number of birthdays celebrated, but rather a silent accumulation of cellular saboteurs within the body? A forgotten biological process, now understood by science, reveals that a specific class of dysfunctional cells could be the primary driver of what we call aging. And a particular food, not a drug or supplement, may hold the key to helping the body clear them out. This is the story of cellular senescence. In the intricate ecosystem of the human body, every cell has a life cycle. It divides, it performs its function, and eventually, it is programmed to die peacefully to make way for new, healthy cells. This process, called apoptosis, is essential for tissue repair and maintenance. However, sometimes, this process breaks. A cell becomes damaged through stress, toxins, or simply the wear and tear of life, and it enters a state of suspended animation. It is no longer healthy enough to divide, but it refuses the command to die. It becomes a senescent cell. Scientists have given these cells a more evocative name. They call them zombie cells, because they don't just sit there, inert and harmless. Instead, these zombie cells become malevolent actors in the body. They begin to secrete a cocktail of inflammatory proteins, a toxic brew known as the senescence-associated secretory phenotype, or SASP. This inflammatory signal spreads to neighboring healthy cells, like a single rotten apple spoiling the entire barrel. It creates a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation throughout the body. This is what one feels. The damage to cartilage cells in the knee contributes to the ache of arthritis. The inflammation in the vascular system contributes to high blood pressure. When these zombie cells accumulate in the brain, they are linked to the frustrating fog of cognitive decline. They are a root cause, a hidden instigator of so many age-related ailments. They are the reason recovery slows down and energy seems to vanish. The body is fighting a civil war it is slowly losing, waged at a microscopic level. For decades, this process was considered a one-way street, an unavoidable consequence of getting older. But recent discoveries have turned this old belief on its head. Understanding the enemy is the first step to empowering the body's natural defenses against it. This begs a critical question. If this process is a natural part of life, why does it seem to spiral out of control after the age of 50? The answer is both fascinating and deeply empowering. It lies in a system that was once our greatest protector and is now becoming overwhelmed. Think of the body's immune system as a vigilant, highly effective cleanup crew. In a younger body, specialized immune cells, like natural killer cells, are constantly patrolling. They are experts at identifying these dysfunctional zombie cells. Once a senescent cell is found, the immune system swiftly tags it and eliminates it, clearing it from the tissue before it can cause any harm. It's a marvel of biological housekeeping. This system works almost perfectly for the first several decades of life. The rate of zombie cell formation is low, and the immune system's cleanup capacity is high. The balance is maintained. But as one enters their 50s and 60s, a critical shift occurs. Due to a process known as immunosenescence, the immune system itself begins to age. The number of vigilant patrol cells may decrease, and their efficiency can decline. They become slower to recognize the threat, slower to react. At the exact same time, the rate at which senescent cells are formed begins to accelerate due to a lifetime of accumulated stress and environmental exposures. The result is a perfect storm. More zombie cells are being created than the aging cleanup crew can possibly remove. The balance tips. The accumulation begins, slowly at first, then gaining momentum year after year. This isn't theory. It is observable biology. Studies from leading institutions show a direct correlation between the burden of these zombie cells in one's tissue and the onset of age-related frailty. It changes everything we thought we knew about aging. It reframes it not as a passive decline, but as an active process of cellular damage, a process one can potentially influence. Scientists estimate that by age 70, as much as 15% of some of one's tissues could be comprised of these zombie cells, constantly pumping out their inflammatory signals. But there is a twist. These cells don't just appear randomly from thin air. They are triggered, and one of the most powerful triggers for their creation might be sitting in the pantry right now. The modern Western diet, high in refined sugars and processed carbohydrates, is a primary accelerant of cellular senescence. When one consumes a high-sugar meal, the body experiences a spike in blood glucose. This excess sugar can attach to proteins and fats in the body in a process called glycation, creating harmful molecules known as advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These AGEs are pure damage. They inflict massive oxidative stress on healthy cells. Think of it as a form of biological rusting, happening from the inside out. This relentless stress damages the cell's DNA and its mitochondria, the tiny power plants that produce energy. This damage is a primary trigger that pushes a healthy, functioning cell over the edge and into the zombie state. This is why dietary choices become so profoundly important as one ages. It's not just about weight management anymore. It's about managing the rate of internal cellular decay. Every meal high in processed sugar can be seen as a deposit into the zombie cell account. Conversely, every meal rich in whole, natural foods acts as a withdrawal, slowing down the rate of their formation and reducing the burden on the immune system. So, the body is under siege from within, and its own internal defense systems are becoming overwhelmed. It paints a rather bleak picture. But what if nature, in its infinite wisdom, had already engineered the perfect countermeasure, a class of powerful compounds hidden in plain sight within the very structure of the foods we eat, with the remarkable ability to selectively target and help the body eliminate these cellular saboteurs. These compounds are known as senolytics. The word means, quite literally, to destroy the old. In the world of longevity science, they are the single most exciting area of research. While pharmaceutical companies are racing to develop synthetic senolytic drugs, evidence is rapidly mounting that nature has been producing them for millennia. They are found in a specific class of plant pigments called flavonoids. These compounds perform a near magical function. They appear to have the ability to preferentially induce apoptosis, that programmed cell death, only in the dysfunctional zombie cells, while leaving healthy, vibrant cells completely unharmed. They act like a microscopic sniper, helping the body's own systems to selectively remove the troublemakers. They don't just halt the damage, they help to reverse the accumulation. By reducing the number of zombie cells, they lower the overall inflammatory burden on the body. This gives healthy cells the clean environment they need to function, repair, and thrive. It allows the body's natural healing mechanisms to finally get ahead. It is the ultimate support for the overwhelmed cleanup crew. One of the most potent of these natural senolytics is a flavonoid called fisetin. In rigorous laboratory studies, it has demonstrated a remarkable ability to reduce the burden of senescent cells by as much as 50% in aged animal models. Its power is undeniable, but its most common dietary source is often overlooked, and the way most people consume it completely negates its anti-aging effect. The secret lies not just in what the food is, but in a simple preparation method largely forgotten since the 1950s. The source is the humble strawberry. Ounce for ounce, strawberries contain one of the highest concentrations of fisetin found in nature. But here is the bitter truth. The way we consume them today renders that fisetin almost useless. We buy them from massive, commercial farms. They are bred for sweetness, size, and shelf life, not for their medicinal properties. The fisetin, you see, isn't there for us. It's part of the plant's own immune system. It's a stress compound. The plant produces it in high quantities when it is under attack, from insects, from harsh sun, from fungus. So what was this forgotten method from the 1950s? It wasn't a recipe. It was the simple act of growing your own, or buying from local farms where the produce wasn't pampered and perfect. It was eating food that had to fight to survive. That slightly smaller, maybe even bruised strawberry from a local garden, it could contain orders of magnitude more of these senolytic compounds than the beautiful, insipid clone from 1,000 miles away. The very perfection we seek in our food has stripped it of its protective power. We have engineered the life-saving stress right out of our diet. This raises a terrifying question, doesn't it? Are we accelerating our own aging not just by what we add to our diet, like sugar, but by what we have systematically removed? Have we, in our quest for convenience and cosmetic perfection, inadvertently disarmed the very foods that were meant to protect us? It is a profound paradox, but the story gets deeper, because fisetin doesn't work alone. Nature rarely relies on a single silver bullet. Instead, it uses a strategy of overwhelming synergy. It stacks its weapons, and fisetin has a powerful partner in crime against cellular senescence, a compound called quercetin. Quercetin is another flavonoid, found in abundance in things like onions, capers, kale, and apple peels. On its own, it's a potent antioxidant, but when it enters the body's ecosystem alongside fisetin, something remarkable happens. They work in concert. Think of a zombie cell's survival mechanisms as a fortress with multiple defensive walls. Fisetin might be brilliant at knocking down the main gate, but quercetin is like a team of saboteurs that simultaneously disables the fortress's power supply and internal alarms. Together, they create a senolytic effect far greater than the sum of their parts. This isn't just theory. A groundbreaking 2019 study at the Mayo Clinic gave a cocktail of fisetin and quercetin, which they called a senolytic cocktail, to human subjects with age-related conditions. The results were stunning. Within just a few days, they saw significant reductions in senescent cell markers and inflammation. It was one of the first human trials to prove that this natural, food-derived approach could actively clear these zombie cells in living people. This opens up an entirely new way of thinking about food. It's not about 5 a day anymore. It's about creating your own personal senolytic cocktail with every meal. A few strawberries with your oatmeal, which is full of other beneficial compounds, and a salad with red onions for lunch. It's a strategy. But before you run to the grocery store, there's a critical, frustrating barrier that science has only recently begun to understand. A hidden trap that prevents nearly 99% of these miraculous compounds from ever reaching the cells that need them. The problem is called bioavailability. It's a $5 word for a simple, devastating concept. Just because you eat something doesn't mean your body can use it. These powerful plant flavonoids are notoriously difficult for our digestive system to absorb. They are often large, complex molecules that our gut struggles to ferry into the bloodstream. Most of the fisetin and quercetin you consume from raw foods simply passes through your system. Its mission, a failure. It's like having the key to a treasure chest, but being unable to get the key into the lock. Its potential, unrealized. For decades, this bioavailability problem plagued researchers and cast doubt on the real-world effectiveness of many natural compounds. But what if nature had already solved this puzzle? What if, hidden within the same plants, or in plants often eaten alongside them, was the key to unlock the key? The answer is almost insultingly simple. It comes from compounds that enhance absorption. One of the most famous is piperine, the active ingredient in black pepper. Piperine has a unique ability to inhibit certain enzymes in the liver and intestinal wall that would normally break down and eject foreign compounds like quercetin. It essentially holds the door open, allowing the senolytic compounds to flood into your system instead of just being escorted out. Studies have shown that consuming piperine alongside other compounds can increase their bioavailability by up to 2,000%. It's the difference between failure and overwhelming success. And it's not just pepper. Consuming these flavonoids with a source of healthy fat like olive oil or avocado can also dramatically increase their absorption, as they are fat-soluble. Suddenly, ancient food pairings make perfect sense. A tomato and olive oil salad with black pepper isn't just a tradition of taste. It's a masterpiece of molecular synergy, evolved over centuries to maximize nutrient delivery. We have been practicing this advanced biochemistry without even knowing it. But this reveals a new, more profound level of the game we are playing. Aging isn't just one thing. It's a cascade. We have the zombie cells, a primary driver. We have the inflammatory storm they create. We have natural compounds that can help clear them, and we have other compounds that help those compounds work. It's an intricate system of checks and balances. But what if there was a way to influence the entire system from the top down? Not just clearing out the zombie cells after they've formed, but actively preventing them from appearing in the first place? What if there was a master switch in the human body, a deeply ancient survival circuit that controls not only the rate of cellular aging, but also the body's own innate ability to perform this cleanup, a process known as autophagy? This switch is not controlled by a food, a pill, or a supplement. It's controlled by something you do, or more accurately, something you don't do, every single day. What if the very act of eating, the thing that gives us life, is also flipping a switch that accelerates our aging? This isn't a flaw. It's a feature. Our bodies evolved for a world of feast and famine, not a 24/7 all-you-can-eat buffet. This master switch is the ancient survival circuit that dictates whether our body is in growth and storage mode or cleanup and repair mode. And the trigger is breathtakingly simple: the presence or absence of food. Every time you eat, you flip the switch to GRO. When you're growing, your body activates a pathway called mTOR. It tells your cells to build, multiply, and store energy. This is essential for life, but when it's always on, It's like keeping the accelerator floored. It encourages cells to grow so fast that mistakes are made, damage accumulates, and it actively suppresses the body's own cleanup crew. You're building a city without ever taking out the trash. But when you stop eating for a period of time, what we now call intermittent fasting, the switch flips. With no incoming fuel, the body panics in the most intelligent way possible. It slams the brakes on mTOR and activates a different pathway, AMPK, the repair signal. This unleashes the process of autophagy, which literally means self-eating. This is your body's own innate senolytic superpower. During autophagy, your cells hunt down and devour damaged components, misfolded proteins, and yes, those senescent zombie cells. It's the ultimate biological recycling program, turning cellular garbage into pristine new parts. You are not just preventing the creation of zombie cells, you are actively taking them to the incinerator. This is the final piece of the puzzle. It's not a choice between senolytic foods and fasting. It's the ultimate synergy. By timing your meals, you create the perfect environment for repair. You turn on your body's cleanup crew. Then, by consuming a diet rich in senolytic compounds like fisetin and quercetin, with piperine and healthy fats to ensure they arrive, you are arming that cleanup crew with the most advanced tools imaginable. This isn't about starvation. It's about rhythm. It's about giving your body the quiet time it needs to heal itself. We have been so focused on what to eat that we forgot to ask when. The most profound health intervention might not be what you add to your plate, but the time you leave your plate empty. Aging is not a one-way street. It is a dynamic process, a conversation you are having with your body every single day. And with this knowledge, you are no longer just a listener. You can lead the conversation. The tools to rewrite your biological future are not locked away in a high-tech lab. They are in your kitchen, in your habits, and in the ancient wisdom built into your very DNA. You have the power to flip the switch. This is just the beginning of that conversation. To continue exploring the science of a longer, healthier life and take control of your biology, subscribe to Better_Health. The journey starts now.